I'm gonna walk up. I'm going behind. Go. I'm going. We're going.
We're engaged on. Run. Give me one. We should run. I'm dead. Run.
Nice. We can end. Fight. No punch.
Yeah. Can you try to take the wave? Proxy the wave, maybe?
Proxy the wave. Proxy the wave. Go on proxy.
Wave. They're getting the wave. Guys. I knocked up. Lisa and miss. We need the wave.
No. Go.
No. We
have to fight. Kick him. I'm going Grace. Grace is dead. We're okay. Go top him.
And then the base. Go.
That's me, baby. Go top him in.
CLG go for the big play, but it ends up falling flat. TSM defend.
Do you guys want to FF right now, or?
Yes, I'm down.
Okay. Holy shit. We actually lost this game.
Yeah, but we didn't. We lost, but we won.
Welcome back to Game 2 of Team Dignitas versus TSM. Dignitas have chosen blue side here for game number 2. And after that first one, I think they do need to rethink quite a few things moving into this next Champ Select.
Yeah, with the way it played out, you can see why TSM was so confident with their decisions, even if they kind of go against the norm that a lot of other people are doing. The fact that they deprioritized Kalista for the Tristana was one part, but also how favorable that Caston matchup ended up being for Bjergsen against Keane were big catalysts in TSM's victory.
And this is why Team Dignitas going into game 2 have chosen blue side, because TSM really did, it felt like, kind of bait them into a lot of their picks and control that champion select. Exactly how they had planned. So Dignitas, let's see what they can do from the blue side, even in a meta where a lot of teams have started to shift over towards red for the counter picks and for the extra utility.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of ways, as the analyst desk was talking about, Team Dignitas needs to step up in this game because they played far too passive, bordering on playing a little bit scared, and they have to make plays, especially if TSM is going to be drafting these low wave clear from solo lanes into late game scaling team compositions. You have to be able to have the confidence that Team Dignitas had last week against C9.
And by default, when you're looking at early game playmaking and you're looking at where will early aggression come from, the jungler position is the position most well set up to do that. Yes, as I said before, you have to work off of your lanes as well. But Shrimp, you know, this is a guy in the past who has even gone for like a single or 2 camp clears before trying to get out on the field, trying to create some action for the team. He went for kind of the long clear on Jarvan and didn't really find any openings. He burned 1 flash mid lane on the pre-6 Caston, but it didn't mean anything for Team Dignitas. On that same token, though, in the mid lane, Keane also definitely needs to step up for them because Bjergsen is a powerhouse. And Keane kind of has to rise up to try and equal him.
Yeah, we got to see the Cassiopeia band away. TSM was able to pick their poison with those blue side bans, as is often the case. So putting them on red side a little bit does make it a little bit less exclusive as far as what you can control with first pick. What's interesting is the TSM also first picked a Thresh, which isn't a super common first pick in the meta right now. And I'm really curious to see what Cobb and St. Vicious and the rest of Team Dignitas have planned for this draft phase, because I feel like the draft has been one of Team Dignitas' biggest strengths this split.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the big reasons why people coming into this series were thinking this was going to be the most competitive of the semifinal series. And we'll see if they can make it a show and strike back here.
Certainly will, as Game 2 Champ Select is underway. Dignitas will have first choice this time around, but that will start with some bans. We'll see exactly where they want to look. A pretty interesting first 6, I will say. Lots of target bans in game number 1. So we'll have to see exactly.
We saw Svenskeren down there in like the AD carry position or something, so they're a little bit out of position.
LCS order was a little bit off right there. Svenskeren was in the mid lane, Bjergsen is in the AD carry spot, so the drop out of Championship Select right there is just them getting in the correct LCS order so we can hop back in.
I did see 2 Hauntzers at one point, so we'll see if he's been cloned or if it's all been righted once again. But I think in general, TSM should be happy with where they're going. Dig, I think, have seen some of the surprises perhaps and some of the preparation that TSM have gotten to hide with an extra week of practice that wasn't played on stage. So certainly that game 1 advantage kind of helping TSM, which we don't talk about too often when the teams get a bye, but seem to help them out there. And we'll see exactly what happens for Dig now that they've had some time to make adjustments. But like you said, lots of pressure put on the coaching staff, Kobe, and not a lot of time. That's the thing about making adaptations on stage, is one of the reasons they're difficult, is you get 5, maybe 10 minutes to watch the game, talk through it with your team, and then adjust right back on stage.
Yeah, they're just remaking the lobby very quickly. Still trying to take all that preparation back into this next one. And if you're looking at it from TSM's side, I'm curious how much they're going to want to change as well, because what they did worked, but they are switching to different sides. And it also didn't seem like they were going with what you would consider the strongest style for TSM right now. So I'm curious if they ramp it up coming into this next game or if they go with what worked in game 1.
Well, definitely the Kassadin to me is pretty much primary counter pick. So if they were to go with a similar strategy, then they kind of still have an option. On red side, you do get the guaranteed last counter pick, and it would be viable for them to keep that for Bjergsen once again. But, that does leave openings. You talked about earlier, Jat. It doesn't give them the freedom with bans on the red side to try and attack Keane and whittle down his champion pool as early.
Yeah, one thing that I liked about the draft last game, and I think we're going to see it fairly commonly from TSM, is locking in jungle and bottom lane very early on, because those have been much less counterpick focused, especially lately, than what the solo lanes could be. There's been so many solo lane nerfs, I feel like that pool is very large right now. Bjergsen also totally okay with absorbing bans. He was the most banned player in the North American LCS this split, absorbing, I believe, something like 80 bans across the split. So getting Doublelift on one of his go-to champions, Biofrost on a playmaker, Svenskeren on a tank, and then just dictating your top lane pick by your mid lane counter pick seems like a very strong skeleton of a pick ban strategy for TSM, which can still give you very unique team combos.
And I think that tells you why they first pick a champion like Thresh, because that is very flexible and dominates a lot of the other supports, whereas ADs, you can kind of pick and choose, and the lane matchup doesn't get too adversely affected. But we'll let the teams answer our questions as we are back in the draft for game number 2. And there's LeBlanc, once again banned by Dig. Ashe will follow swiftly, so sticking to a lot of their target bans they had on red side.
Yeah, and the Ashe ban is something that is slightly peculiar, right? But just taking away that long-range initiation from the bottom lane, we did see that very low action early game, and Ashe is something that can definitely accelerate that.
Well, TSM also switching it up already here. Not going to let Kalista go through again. First pick priority there for Team Dignitas. So kind of the first game did have a lot of feeling of kind of the surprise factor adding to the extra advantage there for TSM. But they also followed up with the Tristana here. Now, this is interesting for the AD carry meta, kind of, because it does whittle it down. Xayah has actually been rising in priority very, very quickly across the rest of the world as well, and still available here, even though Rakan is banned out.
Yeah, another thing that is available that was banned out last game is the Twitch. So Maokai was one thing that was switched out and very early picked by Team Dignitas for that early game power, but I'm very curious to see if they take that away based on the current AD carry bans.
And if you guys didn't see the Team Dignitas games versus Cloud9, the Maokai was only for Ssumday in the top side. He played it over and over. He lost in CS, but he was still a huge part in the team fights and was able to get substantially tanky in those. So we do assume that it will be Ssumday again, but again, you can flip the switch and swap it to the jungle if you really need to get a better matchup.
And I think if you're investing this much in banning out bot laners, you do need to try and take some priority, and Kog'Maw is actually the pick. I thought they might steal the Twitch, but instead they take the Kog.
Yeah, there's Rakan, there's Kog'Maw, there's Twitch. There is a whole pool of effective AD carries below what we see banned as far as priority. And this does change the way you play the game a little bit, but it doesn't actually need to change the team compositions. These champions can still be fairly effective with huge tank lines in front of them, rather than the Ardent Sensor supports that we have also seen so much of.
And what we're seeing Team Dignitas do is go back to some of their strengths that we've seen. They're not boxing themselves into early game only, to setting a timer for themselves. They have Twitch to carry late, behind that front line you talk about with the Maokai. Just a very solid here kind of reaction from Team Dignitas to get maybe their footing a little bit back in this series.
And Twitch Thresh is actually the selections there for them, so completing a bot lane and denying the Thresh from Biofrost. We'll see exactly what he wants to do, and I think if Jat's kind of early predictions on game 1 and this draft are correct, TSM should complete their bottom lane here, and with Braum highlighted and now selected, they will do that.
Braum has been one of Biofrost's favorite champions. He has a ton of plays on it. He loves coming in to save the day at the last second there for Doublelift, trying to create those highlight plays.
You say it's his favorite champion. It's one of TSM's favorite champions for Biofrost. He actually doesn't like being the meat shield, but they always tell him to play it agree that it is very effective for them and is very strong at doing Kog'Maw, but pace your time. The skeleton we talked about of duo lane being picked and then a potential jungler is actually with both teams. They have the flex top jungle as well as the duo lane, which means this revolves heavily around counter picks in the mid lane. I think we're going to see a bunch of top lane bans here and maybe even a power pick top lane by TSM with their first pick after.
And that's kind of the fun thing. Now in phase 2 of these bans, how good is your read? How good is your preparation to ban the right things and set up this next phase of the draft? When you tell someone about the 10-ban system, this is the kind of nuance you want to see. So it's great to see these two teams go head-to-head, but Renekton, Orianna, plus Galio and Cho'Gath are the 4 bans left, so TSM with a pick.
Right, and Cassiopeia is actually left unbanned, which I'm very curious about because that seems like something that gets early picked very often.
But so is Syndra, the classic here for Bjergsen. Definitely could, apply that solo kill pressure.
It is one of Keane's best champions as well, and with how versatile Bjergsen is, they're going to dare Keane to counterpick it now because Cassiopeia, the highest presence mid laner on patch 7.16, unbanned. How many bans against mid lane? Just the Ori and the LeBlanc, so still a large pool to pick from. I think that's what we're going to see, Kobe.
There we go. They will be traded. Kind of the 2 premier mid laners left up. And Team Dignitas can round it out with a swap here in the jungle if they really felt like it. But I feel like the Maokai is still going to stay up there. And, Gragas is available, which would theoretically be kind of the go-to pick here for Shrimp. But they might decide to switch it up. I don't see any reason to switch it up because he's such a versatile champion and does so many things well.
Yeah. The Nunu is a Shrimp classic as well. If they're looking to do these big brawly team fights with the Maokai Twitch. Oh boy, this is extremely similar, maybe even identical to one of the compositions they used against Cloud9. If I just need to see the support, the only difference from Game 2 of their Cloud9 series is a Thresh instead of an Alistar for Team Dignitas. So something they're very comfortable with playing in the teamfight phase.
And certainly have played a lot of Maokai Nunu, plus whatever carry Altec gets his hands on as Gragas will be selected there for TSM. That should go... Actually, I don't know. We'll see exactly what Hauntzer and Sven want to play.
Yeah, I would assume that the Jarvan would be in the top side, but that's just me. Like him into Maokai, shred a little bit of the armor, and Svenskeren would be able to take the Gragas. But again, that's why I really assume that it was going to be the Gragas pick for Team Dignitas. Yes, they do love their Nunu, right? And it does give you blood boil for the late game. But not only are you not picking up the Gragas for your early playmaking for yourself, but you give over the duo here to TSM where Gragas and Jarvan are constantly traded by teams because of the power that those two have and the versatility that we see with playmaking. Now Hauntzer and Svenskeren kind of get 2 of the premier champions for their roles.
Look, if you're going to do Baron every game at 20 minutes, you need to be able to secure it. Can't get Kalista, had it in game 1. We'll have to go with the Nunu instead. I mean, it does fit the mold for what Dig want to do.
I mean, they got chased off the Baron, and TSM got it, 23 minutes in the last game, and they are the ones with Cassiopeia now on TSM side, so the threat also for burning it down is there.
Well, it'll certainly be a fun one to see, but as expected, TSM fall back to a much more traditional comp, much more team-fighting-centric here with some good opportunities, but Dignitas a very similar look, and this has been the type of thing, almost identically as you pointed out, Chat, that Dig have succeeded with all playoffs long. So if they're going to equalize the series and really make it an interesting one, Dignitas' time to do it is now in Game 2.
Yeah, and this game is so identified by the carries and the setup for those carries. Keane and Altec being protected by their front line versus Bjergsen and Doublelift being protected by the Jarvan, Gragas, and Braum. So as far as laning phase is concerned, I'm very curious how much of an influence Svenskeren can have over that because the early pressure and the early ganking from the Gragas is so much higher than the Nunu.
Also, I'm very closely looking at this game as a real indicator of the 2 power levels. TSM definitely had a big advantage as far as the surprise factor coming out of Champion Select in the last one, but these 2 compositions going up against each other is really going to determine a lot and kind of set the tone for the rest of this series. Is it actually going to be so TSM one-sided, or will Team Dignitas make their stand now? Because this is Team Dignitas comfort. They've used it before. They used it even during the regular season, and now is their time to really show what they've got.
Well, right now, teams just kind of fanning out. Not too much vision put down there at level 1. Looks like TSM have a ward on the Gromp blue intersection as Biofrost has a peek there with the chair, trying to find a member of Dig, but only a ward in that brush. Looks like Sven is going to start blue. Shrimp should do the same, and we'll see if he changes anything at all. Not the most aggressive jungler for Nunu, at least as far as ganking goes, but certainly is expected to be in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, early Drake is going to be a mountain, which while it is slow to solo, is very soloable. Shrimp's going to have early pressure on that. And I think if there is a lane that swings us more than any this game, it would be the bottom lane, because if Twitch gets ahead, he can get a lot of explosive moves off.
The thing is with Nunu, you can't just blind invade on people. It's determined so much by the presence of your laners. Some of the nerfs hit Nunu right at his health stat early on in the game, and you can be collapsed on, you can be killed. Contrary to popular belief, with everyone always complaining about the champion, we have seen, and especially Shrimp and St. Vicious do prefer a little bit more of the farming early on rather than trying to really create anything yourself.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much of an early move from Shrimp, even just because Hauntzer scouted him out early game. He invaded for the ward expired, he then checked him to confirm that he was starting blue buff, and Svenskeren is also pathing to the opposite side of the map. So a low conflict jungle start fairly likely, and TSM doing a lot to keep tabs on him. Look at that shove by Bjergsen, moving in to get a ward on red buff. Maybe even think about harassing him. Would have had a window too, but Shrimp was just saving all of his health gaining abilities.
Steals the blast cone at least, so denies some mobility, although Shrimp's going to go the long way around now and check this right-hand side of the jungle. Only a Gromp that we can see as Adrian lands a nice play there in onto Biofrost, but TSM investing a lot to try and track this Nunu in the early game.
Yeah, they didn't manage to actually track him at red. Bjergsen opted to trinket short rather than in the red buff.
Yeah, you kind of assume that route, though, with the camps that they have discovered. And like you talked about, the early information that TSM got, this is kind of the assumed continuation. That's why Bjergsen went to go blow that blast cone, so there wasn't any early dragon. But now there's a good position for Svenskeren behind Keane.
Keane has gone missing. There he is.
Yep, oh, gets him in the fog of war, but the stun's actually nice. Forcing the flash from Bjergsen. Got the poison on the heel, burnt out as well. Keane gets out of there, but Adrian looks for the flash flame, misses as Sven flashes out.
He definitely would have been dead if not for that timely roam there by Adrian and Shrimp, able to get up to the mid lane. Svenskeren now does have double buffs as well, but Shrimp is on the offensive.
Huge credit to Adrian for that roam, though, as Keane was, as you say, definitely dead, but Shrimps would have to burn his flash.
Blast cone, Flash gets it! Autos it away. Shrimp is safe, but very low on health. Nice roam down from Hauntzer as both teams doing a nice job answering each other, but Hauntzer...
Push him off Gromp now.
He's going to continue. Flashes in, gets the knock-up. He wants to go for the solo kill. The Gromp still hitting Shrimp, and that's first blood, Hauntzer.
Shrimp with the greed. Down flash. Smite consumes early. Hauntzer just walks over for the blast cone, picks up an easy kill.
You immediately have to leave when you see that. Now Hauntzer is double buff Jarvan in the top side against a Maokai. Dream scenario for him. We'll see what Ssumday can do about it, because even in their games versus Cloud9, Ssumday was heavily down in CS and tried to right the ship as far as team fighting, but this is definitely not what Dig wanted in game number 2, where this is supposed to be their game to gain some momentum back and try and show what they can do with a more standard team fighting comp. But here comes Svenskeren as well.
Great Sapling doesn't quite see it, but Sven's going to try and connect here. Ssumday with a flash, uses it, body slam, tagged a minion.
Yeah, but it still gets the flash, so the same effect is there, even if it was a misplay by Svenskeren. And we talk about this being a carry-focused game, but you have to adapt in it. When you get that first blood double buff onto Hauntzer, you then start playing around him in the early game, because the influence that Jarvan can have at level 6 with a teleport on those carry lanes is huge. And Jarvan goes much more offensive than a Maokai does early, so his ability to one-shot the Twitch or the Syndra is very real.
Speaking of carries, though, in the mid lane, so much pressure here. This is both summoners blown by Keane. Even though he did not die, Cassiopeia with a double summoner advantage is incredibly threatening, especially considering you do have playmaking junglers. So Keane now on the Syndra does have to play it very safe. You don't even have like counter kill pressure until you're level 6, so he has to really expect a lot of aggression, and there are no wards around mid lane for him to work off.
Hauntzer with the Tiamat now as he returns to lane. B is very strong. TSM, though, going to start up a very early Drake. Shrimp is in the area and does spot them.
And a lot of this is because of that mid lane pressure that, Bjergsen had, and he was able to roam down after pushing it in. They don't want to let any sort of chance of a Nunu smite steal, consume smite combo coming through here, though. And it's just enough threat there with Adrian getting some vision.
Keane is forced to play remarkably defensively now, though you can see just how far back he is off this wave. Is Bjergsen able to play up safely with both his summoners up, and even level 6 as well for the ulti. Altec playing up, it has a lantern there. He's trying to get the harass down in onto Doublelift as they push the minions in towards the turret. And bot lane for Dig is certainly going to have to do a lot more work. I think Adrian in particular, I loved the first roam, but he was notably absent from game number 1.
Yeah, they have been able to consistently shove this TSM lane into the turret, but they have not been able to deny almost any CS from Doublelift. He's even already back to pick up a recurve bow. And Dig is actually staying here, hoping for some Doublelift greed. He has no flash.
Well, now he has no heal.
Yeah, using the heal there, you do get to actually hold on to the gains of health, right? So it's not the worst summoner to blow in that case. Plus, just with the move speed, he's able to get out of any sort of flash play plays. Actually, AJ doesn't even have flash, so that wasn't going to be there. And it's just going to be that little bit of a gain.
And man, the tables have turned. That Nunu is getting pushed around the map. Can't control his own blue. Now looking for a counter invade, but Svenskeren can zip over there.
Like I said, you cannot just blind invade with Nunu. You're like, if you only have counter jungling on your brain as Nunu, you're going to have a bad time. Now he's actually got out.
His brain.
He's going to have a bad time here.
TP in from Hauntzer, very deep to try and take that Shrimp, and he's dead. Hauntzer kills him again.
Your bottom lane is gone. You have no right being down there, and TSM punish.
TSM a few steps ahead of Team Dignitas, even from the very start of this game. Shrimp in too much of a pattern with Nunu, thinking he can kind of go wherever he wants. He can't. His early health pool is being attacked pretty hard by TSM right now.
Sven does have his smite here, but just trying to time it
Be
right.
careful.
Just save it. There's no need to go for a perfect smite there and let the poison, like, some weird dragon regen or something. Okay, he waits to those well within smite range. 400 there, secures it for TSM.
Aggression again. Adrian gonna get stunned. Hook lands, finds Biofrost as Double gets exhausted. Shrimp back in the mix with Doublelift now gonna get chased out with no summoners. He's trying to get a counter kill, but he's not gonna grab it. Altec gifted a kill.
Yeah, if there's a place for Team Dignitas to make their way back into this game, it's through Twitch and that bottom lane, because if Twitch gets ahead of Kog'Maw, especially with no Thresh to save the Kog'Maw, he can go into camouflage, open up, and win those trades with a lead. All the other lanes struggling here for Dig, and even with the CS disadvantage, being able to get that kill and early BF sword already picked up is what they're going to have to play around.
Take another look at it. Adrian starting it off here with the double play. Gets just into tower range there, and as the stun comes through, he already got the hook off, so it lands. They get the flash out of Biofrost, they get the kill on the Doublelift on topside. Hauntzer trying to get an escape on the blast cone here. We'll be able to get out just nice.
Sapling gonna chase him down, but a simple escape there from Hauntzer. Again, just kind of pressuring with the Jarvan, already with those 2 kills, scaling up nicely and building that CS lead. Should continually punish if left unattended there in top lane.
Yeah, I also like the early Mercury Cheds pickup, so that the CC chain for any type of gank would be nearly impossible with the Maokai and Nunu. They'd have to send at least 3 people up there to get anything. And if they do that, they're losing so much pressure in the mid lane. That's one of the joys of having Bjergsen in the mid lane on Cassiopeia always shoving. Hauntzer's completely safe unless he overcommits in a 1v2.
Again, and that CS lead in mid is Biofrost the target once more. Adrian juggling those stacks nicely, does not get stunned this time. Hook not going to hit though. Biofrost just ducks behind the minion wave, but the aggression is here for that bot lane. Sure, Altec is behind slightly in CS, but that kill's going to give him, even if not better on gold, as they're going to, again, try and be more mobile around the map.
Yeah, Team Dignitas have to rely on team play in this game, because the TSM laners are completely outperforming here across the board. So it's going to have to be the synergy for Team Dignitas, the 5-on-5, bring together the blood boil. Adrian looking to be the one to start the playoff again.
Play around that bot lane, no flash on Bio.
Oh, ulti is going to miss. Biofrost not quite there with the angle. Altec lets it rip with the spray and pray, but not enough damage there. Bjergsen and Sven threatening once more.
Yeah, and the TSM lane here is playing the lane very conservatively. Doublelift going for the Rage Blade rush on the Kog'Maw, which is one of the less strong laning openers. You're going with a recurve bow, a pickaxe, eventually a blasting wand into a Rage Blade. There's no help during that build like you get with a Blade of the Ruined King build, or even a Wit's End build that allows you to get a little bit of magic resist. So the fact that he's still up in CS in this lane and their turret is so healthy means a one strategy by TSM in this bottom lane, even if they're getting pushed in.
Yeah, I would say it's painful to sit on a blasting one, but if you're just building the parts right now, he hasn't really gotten to the painful part of Rage Blade yet. The painful part is waiting for the completion and the blasting one actual part. Altec actually gets...
Great scan, flash forward, they get the stun. Biofrost in there as he gets the exhaust down. Trying to stun the artillery's enough. TSM turn around, Adrian stunned on the other end, and meanwhile, topside Bjergsen, flash ultis onto Ssumday, diving under the turret. Ssumday is going to melt. What a play from TSM as Keane.
It continues, Space Tree!
Not done yet. Biofrost get gang in to try and run. Interference stun is barely going to miss Doublelift. Just a bit short as Bio absorbs the ulti, and everyone lives from TSM.
That series of events makes you feel like this series in the playoffs is not going to even be as close as we thought it was. TSM completely destroying on both sides of the maps, on offense and on defense there. Biofrost with the unbreakable at the last second even just adds a little bit more insult to the play.
It also pays off in first turret for TSM, beating Dignitas in the race. And you're absolutely right, Kobe. That just is a map win for TSM. They get a 2v2 kill, they dodge the mid lane gank, their mid lane gank works, and the gold is also going in all the right places. Watching this play again, the sweep to see Altec sneaking up on him, then Altec shorts on the lantern and flashes away, so a bit of a misplay. Didn't want to step forward to pick the lantern up in the first place, but maybe just a great play by TSM's bottom lane to sniff that one out, and then the top lane play.
Bjergsen going for his first roam of the game. Cassiopeia, he's going to put some slick moves here on Ssumday as well to dodge out, just make sure he doesn't get knocked up. Finishes the kill very easily with the extra speed boost from his poison there. And with that, TSM once again set up for a very, very good showing here. It is only 2,000 gold currently though, so no panic yet for Team Dignitas, but they're definitely feeling the pressure.
Oh, TP in here, deep from Dignitas. So they're going to try and lock down Doublelift. Doublelift knows some, so in trouble. TP answer from Hauntzer. Biofrost going to try and defend, but it's 2v4 right now. Flash off from Trim. He's going to go for Hauntzer, trying to get some damage done. Double. So for a lot longer, but Altec finally picks him up, but Hauntzer traps two in the cages. Bjergsen has roamed his way around. This looks bad for Dignitas. A double kill for Double and a kill there for Bjerg, making it 3.
What you gonna do? You're gonna make a TP play, but you don't actually have a TP advantage, and they still have a lot more gold in their pockets than you. So they do force a fight and get a kill onto a carry, but they give a lot more back because TSM had all the tools to respond, and they did.
All right, I assume as well, even though we're going into the replay, a Cassiopeia and a living jungler means that TSM could even get a Drake after this play. Here's the initiation though. Team Dignitas are feeling like they're falling behind, so they want to create a play on the summonerless Kog'Maw. But on display, the Kog'Maw passive, Doublelift, even though he does go down first, he gets to kill people off while he's dead with the double kill there. Nice assist with the Hauntzer Cataclysm, keeping them in place, and TSM do collapse for the advantage.
Credit to the immediate control ward that Biofrost placed when he saw Ssumday's TP as well, saying, Hauntzer, help right now. About a second later, he teleported in, but still a pretty quick reaction.
There's a cannon creep waiting. Just hit that and then hit the TP button. As Rage Blade is now finished for Doublelift. We saw the Abyssal Mask finish earlier for Bjergsen, and he's working towards his next item. And Hauntzer as well has been the beneficiary of pretty much all of the plays. Very close to 100% kill participation in this game, and only getting stronger as he ramps up in damage and in tankiness. He's kind of got a cornucopia of items right now, but they will finish very quickly.
Yeah, and this is just more of TSM executing on their pre-series plans. The first picks or the power picks they've given over to the opponent, like this first pick with Maokai, they've had good answers to. I mean, Hauntzer has been the beneficiary of some plays, but he also made a lot of these advantages himself. He's had the lane shoved so he can roam. Then he gets the double buffs, and then he makes it work from there. So a lot of good plays out of Hauntzer and a good pick into Maokai.
Yeah, definitely comes back to the question marks surrounding giving over both Jarvan and Gragas. Those guys are so versatile. Hauntzer, as you said, he created a lot of it for himself. He went after the jungler. He kept up his jungle invade. It was 2 parts. He blows the flash himself. Then he goes and finds him at the Gromp, finds him with the Scryer's Bloom, and completes the kill. You can't just retreat to your own jungle and be safe when Hauntzer's on the lookout.
And TSM's gold lead is starting to grow even further forward. 4,000 gold up now, and they did take that Drake that you expected. It was a little later than after the replay, but still with a Cloud joining that mountain to make it 2 early objectives there for TSM. And the rummage through the bot side jungle continues. They're going to sweep out whatever they can, and Keane not looking too vulnerable with both his sums up, but certainly feeling like the rest of his team, a whole host of pressure. As Sven actually leaps in a little too far. Box up from Adrian, but Altec going to try and connect. Keane still looking for the ult target, but Bio with a good amount of disengage from the Braum.
Yeah, necessary disengage there from TSM. I think even with how far they're ahead, I think a 5 versus 4 would have been the opening for Team Dignitas to get back into this game. And the disengage call there and execution, definitely necessary.
And they're also in no rush right here with Cassiopeia and Kog'Maw, as well as the top laner who has an advantage. So what we talked about before, relatively early Rift Herald can be used to break open that mid lane.
And we'll get it here. Dignitas just backing off to their lanes to go and farm. So Bjergsen actually kills it, but yes, does go over to Svenskeren. Maybe even Hauntzer if he's the one that picked up the buff. But we'll find out in just a second. I imagine TSM have plans for that Rift Herald already. Maybe even in the top lane as they are going to get it shot. They need the wave to join them though, so going to have to wait. Although Sven now going to turn on it.
Also, we kept talking up how Ssumday on Maokai would have effectiveness once they group up for the team fights, but TSM just blew his ultimate and his flash, 2 of the key components of his team fight. He does now complete the Righteous Glory, but Team Dignitas are just bleeding gold all over the map.
Yeah, another turret trade is not a trade, it's just a take by TSM right there, because they had the Rift Herald, it preempts the minion wave, it means the backdoor bonus stays, and then they didn't want to tango with Hauntzer's 2-0 for Jarvan in a 1v3.
Which kind of speaks to just how far ahead TSM are getting in this game, I think. Double also stole the blue buff away, so that's taken out of Dignitas' jungle, and now we're getting to sort of the meat of a lot of these builds for TSM. 2 items on the way for Kog as he's got a Zeal, and now Morello finished for Bjergsen with that TS still charging up.
He's an Abyssal Mask up on Keane. That's an absurd mid lane advantage right now. They both have Morellos. Obviously the Sork Shoes is something Bjergsen can never match on Keane, but just the 1,000 gold lead is showing a lot bigger in the items right now because Keane hasn't shopped.
Certainly right now, just again, that total amount of pressure TSM have built, just forcing Keane to stay here. There's a reason he can't shop. He's not silly. He does want to spend his gold, but Bjergsen is always pressuring this lane, and now almost all of TSM will join to try and take this turret down. Sven got a lot of pressure for a potential dive play. Dig grouping behind the turret to try and save it. That wave, Keane's able to clear out, so TSM will not get it on that pass.
Yeah, TSM right now are kind of just waiting around for less risky objectives to go for. They have such a solid lead that they don't really want to go for a tower dive or anything to push the tempo at this moment. And they just kind of want to milk the lead, continue to increase their extra gold here. Dignitas have to be careful because they want to make a counterplay, but it is risky.
Be enough here to try and take the turret down, and will be there. Kog with the extra range, able to shoot down the last few hits, and TSM with a 3-turret-to-1 advantage.
3-turret-to-1 advantage. So rarely do we see multiple control wards set up for a Baron before he's even going to spawn. TSM have 3 control wards over by Baron. There's one in the pit waiting for him to arrive because of the amount of extra gold and DPS that they actually have to threaten that Baron on top of a Mountain Drake. It's a reality that we could see a 20-minute Baron against the Nunu team.
Yeah, 1.5 games into the semifinals, TSM looks really strong, especially with how confident Team Dignitas looked in the quarterfinals. What TSM is doing, dismantling them so far, is very impressive. The setup they have, very good. They are losing some of that right now, but the control ward in the pit will be successful. And now it's just a matter of the pressure being immediately on Team Dignitas to control this Baron pit with the Cassiopeia Kog'Maw threat that is ever present.
And Hauntzer does have his teleport ready, so it's imperative for Team Dignitas to clear out the possible teleport wards behind them. If Hauntzer gets a flank onto Keane and Altec, then it is going to be disastrous for Team Dignitas.
Yep, to kind of add to that Baron that's upcoming as well. Mountain Drake #2 will be on the table in 30 seconds. So TSM likely positioning for that objective. Given all the map pressure they currently have, it's not too difficult to see where their next moves might be. Again, up about 5,000 gold and looking to grow that lead ever further. Dignitas really do need to stop the bleeding.
It's difficult. They're bleeding from multiple wounds. Which one do you cover first? You're going to have to cauterize bottom lane first, maybe someday. At the turret, not actually having a problem from any sort of dives, but it's really still about looking for openings. How are Team Dignitas going to get back into this game? It seems like such a feat.
Exactly. The one thing they can look at is the 2-kill Twitch, but he's not at a place in items where he can actually do anything yet. They don't have a Knight's Vow, they don't have any Ardent Sensor type abilities, he doesn't have Infinity Edge. What did happen when they pulled this off against C9 is they waited for him to get Infinity Edge, they powered him up with Blood Boil, and something happened. So they're trying to wait for that moment, but the window is impossibly small.
And there's that Mountain Drake we expected. TSM solo it with their top and mid laner, and now move again to counter Dignitas' attempted push here in the top lane. I mean, Dig can kind of feel around these objectives and force a fight, but they're not even strong enough yet. If they take any sort of fight that's on even footing, they're not going to win. So I think hoping for a pick or just a rush on an objective is potential, but Dig, probably thinking they need to hold on just a little while longer. The question then becomes, if they need 5 minutes, say, and they probably need more to really get to a comfortable spot in this game, will TSM comfortably give them that time? And the answer almost always with this team is no.
Yeah, and understanding and executing on the win conditions is something that TSM has done really well in this series. I mean, game one, Team Dignitas had potential shoving lanes early, and TSM needed to stall to scale. They did it. First blood didn't happen until 18 minutes. Here, there's been a few windows of power that Dignitas would have to play around. Keane hitting level 6 before Bjergsen can buy Magic Resist would have been one. That wasn't even close. Bjergsen got Magic Resist and even killed Keane before that had happened. The next one would be Infinity Edge for Altec when he can get Blood Boiled with the Knight's Vow. They're getting close to that, but TSM has already set up so much and are trying to make a play before that point happens to make their lead even bigger.
2 items also done for Doublelift, who's again built a little cheaper with the Runins plus the Rage Blade, so he's ready to either fight or maybe even tread that Baron.
You can definitely fight Baron, yeah. Double Mountain Drakes, Kog'Maw and a Cassiopeia on your team. Gotta watch that thing very closely.
And Digger out of vision by the looks of things here. TSM have done a very good job diligently sweeping it, and that one blue trinket is going to fade away.
And it's crucially before any of their major item completions come through. So TSM wants to fight.
Certainly do. Looking for the engage. Svenskeren lining it up. Hook. Not going to connect there for Adrian. TSM just continuing to clear out wards.
Thresh is definitely a really nice champion to have on your team in these very scary situations. Adrian adds a little bit more versatility here. One more escape for whoever tries to go face check and get some vision. But again, look at how scary it is.
Yeah, Hauntzer's actually waiting for a flank TP, so they see Kog and they think maybe they're not on it. Sven took a lot of damage, but there's the TP in Shrimp. You're gonna try and assassinate the jungle. Goodbye, Nunu. As Bjergsen able to get that kill. Bio takes some damage, but he tanks it with the Unbreakable. Hauntzer leaping onto the flashing Adrian, but Hauntzer follows with the Cataclysm. Adrian stunned and killed a Ssumday. Lets the ulti go. Altec might find a flank here, but it's not enough. Huge double belly slam from Svenskeren. Bjergsen on a rampage takes down everyone, and that's an ace for TSM.
An ace, a Baron, and possibly breaking through the entire base of Team Dignitas here in game number 2. TSM are making this series look extremely one-sided.
Hauntzer's taking the shortcut, says, you guys got this, Baron. Double is not even helping. This is just Bjergsen and tanks. Shows you the power of this comp right now and how willing they are to make the play.
They're pressuring 3 points at once. 2 lanes pushing, and Baron goes down all at the same time for Team.
He's out of there.
Stationary target, and the prediction from Adrian doesn't even delay Hauntzer from taking that inhibitor.
He doesn't flinch, man. All that MMA training.
Well, let's just engage again here. As Dig, they just had to do something. This is a really smart start from TSM and a great turn as well.
Oh gosh, there is no option there for Shrimp. That was an incredible layering of CC. The miasma comes down right after the body slam knockup came down, and then they got him right into Bjergsen, so he's immediately dead. And you see how quickly the rest of the team collapsed.
Yeah, the tag onto Thresh as well from Braum into waiting post-flash, into Bjergsen having his ult flash ready to go for the backline right as Twitch is about to open up. TSM's firing on all cylinders.
Svenskeren on that Gragas, very key playmaking from him as well to make it look so clean there.
And now all of a sudden we have 10,000 gold ahead for TSM and rampaging with the Baron as they push down towards his bot side. Hauntzer still split pushing in the mid lane, and Dignitas are about to lose pretty much everything around this base.
Oh man, 11,500 gold. QSS completed onto the Kog'Maw. It's getting a lot worse for Team Dignitas.
Actually, it also made me kind of sad to hear that Biofrost personally doesn't like playing Braum because he has played Braum so well.
He plays it so much too.
I know that he's his most played champion for the regular season, and TSM definitely had a success with it.
Buff in. Bjergsen needs to be protected, but he gets stunned up enough to die. Hauntzer diving into the backline as Altec is trying to get the DPS out, but Dig, I think maybe too far behind. His Doublelift already grabbed the double. Altec, no, still surviving. Hauntzer does go down on the other end. It might be too far forward for TSM, but Altec, the only one left. Doublelift grabbed the triple, and Altec just limps away.
Pretty bloody fight right there, but TSM prevails even with Bjergsen getting caught up in the middle of it. 2 inhibs before 27 minutes.
Yeah, and Baron buff means it might even beat Nexus.
Yep, gonna try to take it down. Altec life-stealing and trying to deal with the super creeps, but that might not be enough time. Sven gonna start the next one. 10 seconds left for Keane, 1 second on Trimp and Adrian. They're back to go, but TSM take both Nexus turrets. Can they get out? Adrian, no flash, needs to find something. This will be one big chase down with a snowball, but Biofrost dashes out and TSM walks away.
Oh no, the garbage can is chasing us.
Drake kicking in, and Biofrost and the rest of the team able to recall back.
Oh man. So I almost feel like it's time to start thinking about game 3 with the 13,000 gold lead and the 2 inhibs down. Finding a way to sneak back into it, because we talked before this game about this being a better judge of how close the series will be, since this is something where Team Dignitas is comfortable, but these last stands are just that, last stands, and then they're probably going to lose after that. Everything gets melted through. Hauntzer is barely ticked down, and they caught Bjergsen. That's all they got, and the cost for 4 players as well as another.
Altec was just trying his little heart out right there at the end. He's got so many autos off into this front line of TSM, but not able to make any meaningful headway in the health bars, and they're back at it again.
Yep, next hook doesn't find a juicy target, instead just Sven. TSM assault the last inhibitor turret in mid lane.
No Baron, but they are just willing to tank it up with Hauntzer. He has hit the Stone Plate power spike as well.
Oh my god, he's just going in, a huge cataclysm! Pretty much locks up everyone, and Doublelift just fires away! Keane able to get a kill, but Doublelift left alive. Biofrost, the wonderful for TSM, and that looked easy! TSM just gonna walk towards the Nexus and take it down. Doublelift just picking up Adrian for a little bit of extra gold and style. As Hauntzer TP still war, TSM celebrate around the Nexus as they take game number 2.
It looks like business as usual there for TSM after game 2. No elation, 1 more game, and they would be into their 10th consecutive NALCS final.
That is a lot, to say the very least. There was a lot on the line for this team, both historically and individually. A team that has already collected more awards and wins than any other team in NA is looking to, again, rewrite history in the NALCS.
It looked like it's heading that way very
Certainly
quickly. I was like, get out the pen, turn the page, get ready, because TSM don't look like they're slowing down at all. Little joke there about the trash can Nunu skin at the end, but he didn't get much done with the Nunu, and even though that was successful for them before, we talk about counter jungling and jungling in general as so much team oriented. You really need more pieces than just that, and just kind of banking on Blood Boil later to come out with a victory.
And this was a deconstruction of Team Dignitas, is what TSM really did to them this game. Game 1 was close because they were scaling. This one, they just kind of matched up with similar styles and obliterated them. So it's really hard to bounce back from that if you're Dig.
So looking tough again, number 3. But we'll find out the result in just a second. TSM pick up another win in the series, so let's send it over to the analysts to get their thoughts.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. 2-0 lead here for TSM. If you had any concerns around their form moving into the postseason, those should be assuaged at this point, as Game 2 even more dominant than Game 1.
I mean, you kind of heard them saying during the toss that just if you're Dignitas, this is very scary because you went for something that's kind of a comfort comp for them here, and it just got completely taken apart, like you heard Jat say, deconstructed.
Yeah, it's not looking pretty for Dig. I won't give up hope because I just cannot give it up, but...
Never, man. There's still 3 games left to play, and all you need is 3 victories.
There's still 3 games left, so yeah, Dig's gonna be fine. But
let's talk about the adjustments they made here in the draft phase. Swapping over to the blue side, we saw no Cassiopeia ban come through, which is something that we had actually kind of considered for the side of TSM, and yet TSM's the team that ends up with that champion.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see Dig not put a little higher priority on it. It is true that Orianna and Syndra were both up, things that can match into the Cassio well, and if you're playing Bjergsen, maybe you don't want the Cassio super early as Keane. I can kind of understand that mindset, but they end up giving it over to TSM, and it's still one of the, probably arguably the best mid in the game right now.
Right.
Yeah. Dig must really feel like, or Ssumday really feels like he can carry really hard as Maokai. Like, I'm sure there's a team aspect thing going on with it, and he has had monumental performances on Maokai, so that probably was the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, very much. I mean, no question that his performance on Maokai in the past has been phenomenal. We've seen his ability to pick the right fights really come through for Dignitas in many different situations, but they didn't even have the kind of gold discrepancy that would allow them even fights in this game, right? TSM, they really got out to a lead early. We saw Hauntzer with an early first blood coming through, playing Shrimp in his own jungle.
Yeah, and this is a huge part of the game just because they just blew a flash mid for TSM. Shrimp gets caught out here with a nice roam from Hauntzer, having that push priority in the lane, is able to get his flash here, and the reason this gets even worse is because Shrimp wants to finish out, get a little bit more gold before his recall. Hauntzer stays aggressive, spots him with that vision plant, and then is able to get the kill. Right after this, they also go topside and take the flash out of Maokai. So in the span of about 5 minutes, you lose flash on both your solo lanes and kill this Nunu. The top side of the map is over for the next 10 minutes of the game. Maokai also has to teleport back. Jarvan walks back, so it's hard to force plays around the bot side. They still find one, but for the most part, Nunu got completely shut down after that 5-minute sequence.
Yeah, it was fortunate for Dig that bot lane did force Doublelift flash there, so Nunu could get a little bit of saving grace by a bot play. But man, if that hadn't happened, I don't know what he would have done.
We ended up in a situation where we've got a double buff Jarvan, as you mentioned, who doesn't have to blow his teleport to get back into lane. He's got a Tiamat real early on into the game, which means pressure on the top side of the map for TSM is extraordinary. And that's exactly why we saw Shrimp make his trip down to the bot lane. But not 5 minutes later, 12 minutes into the game, TSM ends up making a play on both sides of the map. Mark, explain to me how this happens.
Well, I mean, anytime you commit resources up to one side of the map, you should be careful on the other side. So you see TSM making a concerted effort here on the top side. They want to go on to Ssumday. Like we said, the whole top side of the map is winning. It's very easy to keep forcing down onto this Maokai.
Yeah,
right, but you noticed that the Twitch went down.
Yeah, and somehow TSM's bot lane still got a kill, and it's like, this sucks because Nunu is coming from the bot lane towards the bot lane from base, and Syndra's coming bottom too, so all they had to do was wait and they can get like cross-map play and maybe an equalization, but instead it all goes wrong.
Now, I know they didn't come away with the victory, but Kiwi, you were talking a little bit about Altec specifically and his ability to play Twitch as a champion.
Yeah, he's always going for the stealth plays, and I'm not talking about the stealth plays where you kind of just queue past them and ult and you kill the whole team. A lot of Twitches can do that. That's like his most known action. But there's Altec, he's always just going out of fog in lane. He makes so many lane plays with the Twitch stealth. And then people always want to say that just in case they get ganked, but they always forget about the attack speed buff until he has his ult. But yeah, there's a big surprise. You can actually
that sweeper by Biofrost there was life-saving, to say the least.
Yeah, because you saw Altec doing exactly one of those plays you're talking about, sitting in that brush, ready to try and make a play, but Biofrost was the perfect timing on it, spots him out, and they're able to get that kill.
Right, so great play out of TSM on both sides of the map this time around. I want to take a look at one more team fight. This is 24 minutes in, close to the end of the game. TSM getting a big ace around the Baron.
Oh yeah, double Mountain Dragon with the Cassiopeia is pretty much any time past 20 minutes, you gotta walk forward and check it. Shrimp gets caught out, and then it's just a full chase down mode. Adrian with the flash forward here, kind of alley-oops Hauntzer on top of Ssumday as well, keeps him locked in the pit, so Kog'Maw can free fry it to that tank.
It just all goes wrong.
There's body slam flash here. Boom.
Very clean.
Shrimp smelled something going on. I like that TSM tried to disguise it a little bit by having Kog show and not damage Baron, but yeah, I don't know. This Bjergsen was just so huge at that point.
So now here is where, on the side of Dignitas, I would be extraordinarily worried because in game one we had an early focus composition, although we didn't play it as aggressively as we should have. But we got behind and we ended up losing. Here we have a decent team fighting comp, but we give up too many advantages in the lane phase, and now we're in an insurmountable deficit. So what's the solution for Dig? Where do we go? Because it seems like two of the the major paths you would take as a competitive League of Legends team have just been shut off.
It's one of those things where there's no clear path left, but there are a lot. One thing we haven't seen out of Dignitas in a long time is the put your eggs in the carry Ssumday basket. Maybe they try that. It's been a long time since they're like, here's Camille, go please win us the game. Maybe they go that route because the other two don't look to be working. Maybe you go for that game plan, game one again, and just actually fight a lot in the early game and try and force.
Is there a bot lane duo that would more specifically allow them to press advantages early?
I thought the best chance they had was actually the Blitz Kalista, and they were actually kind of going even, and Blitz going even in lane is actually pretty good, and he was hitting decent hooks in lane. So, but yeah, if that doesn't work, it's actually really hard to pressure a lane, a TSM bot lane, because they actually play kind of safe champs. There's not much room for getting any huge plays bot, so maybe something, yeah, I do kind of want to see the Ssumday carry, or let's see the Keane Cassiopeia, because we've been talking about how he's really good at that champ, so I would like to see.
A few thoughts from us. 2-0 lead for our first place team. It's Dignitas' last chance to make history and prevent TSM from attending the final. See if they've got what it takes to start a reverse sweep after the break.
Wait, if we need a Blitzcrank player, shouldn't we just make Peter play Blitz and then have Vincent play AD?
Yeah, actually, that makes a lot of sense, but we have Mr. Rallis on the bench.
Flashes in, gets the knock up, he wants to go for the solo kill, the Grump still hitting Shrimp, and there's first blood, Hauntzer.
I brought a side,
I'm ulting here, or I passive here. I have W, it's like 500 damage.
They're my W. Flash.
No flash Thresh. Nice.
I can't catch anymore, I'm going. Just look for Twitch.
I don't have shield for Twitch.
I'm on Maokai.
I'm ulti flashing.
I can go here, I can go. Twitch! Nice. Twitch no flash.
Doublelift just fires away. Keane able to get the kill, but Doublelift left alive. Biofrost, the wonderful for TSM, and that looked easy.